After who you already heard from, Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky, we are with you to recap a lot of this and see what other news comes our way. Adam is busy on the phone. We'll continue to see what he has, but let's focus in on the Jets and what they did. You guys, it's been a rough couple of decades for the quarterbacks in New York. The Jets have the worst total QBR since the metric began in 2006. They haven't had a 4,000-yard passer since Joe Namath in 1967, who happened to be the first 4,000-yard passer in NFL history. We've got Mina Kimes joining us as well. Okay, she'll be here with us a little bit later on. Hey, Mina, there she is. All right, so let's start with this Jets news and what's happening with Justin Fields going there. Mina, you go first. You like this addition for the Jets?
You know, I do, Laura. First, I'll say I know that number maybe takes folks by surprise, but it's really a one-year deal, and then they can reevaluate next year, and it's obviously nowhere near even the middle of the quarterback, how much quarterbacks are paid these days in the NFL. What I like, though, is that the Jets aren't reaching. They know that they're not a quarterback away. They're not going out on a limb to sign one of the more expensive options. Obviously, Darnold went to Seattle, for example, or I suspect they're not going to reach for a quarterback in the draft. This is a team that knows they have to improve their offensive line. They have to improve the entire football team, frankly. So I think there's a little bit of self-awareness that factors into this that I like, that they're not overreaching after what happened with this franchise the last couple of years with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think the next number one thing that the Jets have to do is extend Garrett Wilson and just make sure that he continues to be a young, prominent player in your organization. For Justin Fields, everyone talks about the player and what he's not or what he hasn't been. In his last 3 years in situations both in Chicago and last year in Pittsburgh, maybe not the ideal and or best, he's accounted for 55 touchdowns and over 8,500 yards with 21 interceptions. It's not top 5 quarterback, but there's some stuff still there that if you're the Jets, you're going, all right, this gives us a quarterback that we think if we build a decent roster around, we're going to compete in every game. And I think for Tanner Engstrand, who's their new offensive coordinator, comes from Detroit, the number one thing, he's not Jared Goff. Don't try to make him Jared Goff. He's got to build this offense that is a little bit Josh Allen in Buffalo, a little bit Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, a little bit Russell Wilson, old school Seattle, push the ball downfield. That they're going to have to build the right schematic system around him to give him a chance to see, are you a starter or not?
So it sounds like it needs to be an offense that's built through the offensive line.
Yes.
So they can run the football, have quarterback design run, really utilize play action pass, all the things that you would think, check, check, check. That will help a guy like Justin Fields. Check, check, check. So really, I'll tell you what, 1 through 5, I can tell you this internally, this team thought that they should have been better on the offensive line last year. They should have been better than bottom quarter in the league in pass block win rate. 1 through 5, they have some talented players. Now Morgan Moses leaves. Does that mean Ola Fashanu goes from right tackle to left tackle? Is he the franchise left tackle? They're set on the interior, okay? They still have guys like Elijah Vera Tucker. They still have guys like Joe Tippmann. These guys have to be better, though, as a unit in order for Justin to really get the kind of production that they need and see if he can be a consistent starter, a winning starter.
They pick at 7 in the draft. You wonder if they could grab offensive line talent there. There is some certainly that would be available. All right, we've got a lot more to get to. Let's get to Sam Darnold and his deal with Seattle. He had a career year last year, going 14-4, including the playoffs. He was 14 games under 500 as a starter in his first 6 seasons, but Darnold did struggle when it mattered most. The Vikings lost in Week 18 to the Lions with the chance to clinch that 1 seed when they lost to the Rams in the wild card, of course, 8 days later. If you talk to Kevin O'Connell, he'll take responsibility for all of that. We did see Darnold, of course, get a big deal here. Mina, how do you see Darnold fitting in that Seahawks offense specifically?
Yeah, well, let's first start with the decision-making, I think, in Seattle. What they essentially did here was they decided they would rather have Sam Darnold, $36 million APY. Gino's probably going to be about $10 million more than that. So you get those savings, you get the third-round draft pick, and then a quarterback who I suspect they believe is a better fit or a very good fit with Clint Kubiak's offense, which, of course, has some similarities to Kevin O'Connell's in Minnesota. That logic I agree with and I understand, maybe not the upgrade part, but I understand it. Where I'm skeptical, however, is as good as Sam Darnold was last year, you saw he is what I call a pressure-sensitive quarterback. When cut clean, top 10 in QBR, CPOE, all of it. When under pressure, drops to bottom 10. The Seahawks offensive line has been a problem now for the better part of a decade. The interior offensive line, to me, has to be significantly improved for this bet to pay off. And I think that's what Seattle has to focus on now, knowing that this is the quarterback they're building this offense around.
Yeah, inside out, right? They've got to be better in the interior of the offensive line. Some of the schematics have to help them out. I mean, you figure the kind of offense that he's going to go to, that he's going to be going to, similar to what it was in Minnesota. Lots of motion usage, lots of 12 personnel usage, lots of, wide zone, pull the ball, keepers, boots, all those kind of things that he's comfortable with that also should help out an offensive line. And they've got two really good running backs. So I think they obviously know that that's where it starts. For me, on top of giving him some pressure outlets, how he really struggled as far as pressure situations are concerned, those pressure outlets have to come in the form of another wide receiver or two to go with Jackson Smith and Jigba that Dan and I talked about in previous hours. So they've got some work to do. They've got some work to do. This is a great fit schematically, I would believe, and that culturally it'll be a great fit for him. Now it's about the personnel, because in the end, if you don't have that, you can have all the culture you want. You have all the fit you want. Who are you throwing the ball to?
And that's why I find the situation individually, both the player and the team, captivating. The team's rolling the dice. They're making the bet that going with a younger and cheaper option is going to be better for them. And to Mina's point, maybe a little bit more of a schematic fit. But Gino's a good player, man. And Gino navigated that bad offensive line poorly. So the team is making the bet. And then Sam Darnold's making the bet as well.
Yeah.
This is not Minnesota. This is candidly a little bit like representative of what Sam has been in his NFL career when it comes to, okay, maybe not a ton of help, a bad offensive line, a good receiver in JSN. So, Sam is banking on the trust being built up and being like, you guys are going to support me the way that Minnesota did, so I don't have this one-year wonder. And I think both got a hit for it to work.
Lots of time to make more moves, so we'll see what Seattle does. Also, Mina, as a sympathizer, congratulations. Your Seahawks get Sam Darnold. She's like, it's a
Never
loaded
thought the story
compliment.
would end this way, but here we are.
I know. All right, let's get back to Adam with some more news. The Bears making a couple of moves today. And here you see Brady Jarrett, one of the later moves that just came down. Go ahead, Adam. What do we know about this one?
Dan Ward. Maybe it's somebody else. We'll see how it works out. But Dan Moore gets done a 4-year, $82 million deal. And this just in, the Texans are trading 5-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders. That package of picks includes a 3rd-round pick in 25, a 2nd-round pick in 26, a 2026 4th-round pick. So those are the picks that are going back to Houston. Again, I got the picks. I'm trying to sift through it here as we're doing TV.
Yeah, totally. Go ahead, Louis.
You like what Adam Peters, the general manager, is doing from a planning standpoint.